Jim, thank you so much for joining me today to talk about Radon. You own Radon Pros, correct?
Yes.
All right, very good. So you're the expert in the field. I'm a realtor. I'm not an inspector, so that's why I had you in, so that you can really kind of talk with us through Radon and some of the specifics about Radon. So let's start with, what is Radon exactly, Jim, and why should we be concerned about it? Why should we even care?
Okay, good question. So what radon is a naturally occurring gas that permeates up through the soil. And how radon is actually produced is there's uranium in the soil.
Okay.
And as it decays, one of its byproducts is radon gas. Okay.
Oh.
And so radon being a gas, the stack effect pulls it up through the soil and then it gets trapped into homes and buildings. Basically, the danger of having elevated levels of radon gas is that being exposed long-term to elevated levels, which is above 4.0 picocuries per liter, increases your chance of getting lung cancer. There are 21,000 deaths per year that are attributed to long-term exposure to radon gas.
No kidding. Wow.
It's the number two cause of lung cancer in the United States.
Okay.
And currently, today, 12% of all diagnosed people with lung cancer is directly caused from exposure to elevated levels of radon gas.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. Jim, that is really amazing. I would have never guessed that. Thank you for sharing those statistics. I think that's important for us to know overall what the effects of radon are, so that we can make good decisions as far as how we mitigate our homes. Okay.
And the reason why it's a concern is radon gas, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't see it. The only way to know if there's elevated levels of radon gas in a home or building is to actually test.
Okay, and what does that test consist of? How do you do that?
Okay, so there's a couple different ways that you can actually test. And in the real estate arena, that we do what we call a short-term test, which is a 48-hour test. It's a minimum of 48 hours. And then there's also a thing called long-term test, which is up to a 90-day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But the vast majority of the tests that are done for real estate, homeowners and stuff is typically a short-term test. And basically what we would do as a professional radon testing and mitigation company is to come into the home, we place a machine that would run for 48 hours, and then get the average of what that radon level is.
Oh, okay. Got it. So the average over that period of time, and then if that, so what's the level? How do you measure that? In what increments do you measure that? And what's okay and what's not okay?
You bet. So radon gas is actually measured in picocuries per liter, and the EPA recommends that, or recommendation is that safe levels of radon is 4.0 picocuries per liter. So anything under 4.0 picocuries per liter, they consider it a safe level. Anything above 4.0, they recommend that you get mitigation done.
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you. Okay, Jim, thank you for sharing that. Now that we've talked about, what it is, why it's a concern, and actually the measurement of it, how do you mitigate? How do you get radon out of the house? What does that look like for a homeowner to have their house tested, and then if it comes in high, to have it mitigated?
Okay. So, kind of give you some statistics for mitigation. So, 60% of all the homes that are tested in the state of Nebraska come back at an elevated level.
Wow.
So above 4.0 picocuries per liter.
Okay.
In Douglas County, the average is 56% and then the surrounding counties are around that same level as well. So it all averages out to about 60%.
Got it. Okay.
So basically what we do when a home does need mitigation, basically it's a mechanical system that we install. It comprises a PVC pipe and a fan. So basically it's called a sub-slab depressurization, where we come in and we install a system that we basically pull the air out from underneath your slab floor before that air can get into your home, thus reducing the radon levels.
Got it. Okay. Got it. And what happens to the radon?
Okay, so basically as we're pulling that air out from underneath the slab floor, we're pulling the radon gas as well, thus reducing the levels inside of the home.
Gotcha. And that's going outside, I'm presuming?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so it's going outside.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So once you have a mitigation system installed, like the one that you put in my house, How often do we need to have it serviced? Does it need to be serviced? Do we need to test again over time? What is the recommendation after you have a system
You
installed?
bet. So from a radon level standpoint, the only way that you can determine what radon levels are is to actually do a test.
Okay.
So the system itself, we've installed systems. We've been in business for 18 years, and we have systems that are 18 years old and stuff. But the systems themselves comprise of PVC piping and then basically an electric fan that runs 24/7.
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So the main thing is number one, to ensure that your fan is always running, and how you determine that is there is on the system itself, it's called a manometer, which is a U-shaped tube that actually...
Manometer.
Manometer. People say...
That sounds like the Muppets.
Yeah, manometer. So thermometer, I always say it's a manometer. It's a U-shaped tube. And nobody really knows what it's called unless you're in the industry, but I always try to emphasize manometer. But the manometer is basically going to read airflow. So basically, your radon levels, the liquid levels need to be offset.
Okay.
Basically telling you, hey, there's airflow going through the system.
Got it.
Your system's working.
Got it.
The average fan normally lasts around 10 years. So during that time frame, the EPA does recommend every 2 years to actually test the home for radon, because that's the only way you can determine radon levels. And the reason why you want to do that is because it's not that the system itself is not functioning properly, but the fact that the condition of the home can change as your home ages. You can get cracks in slab floors, foundation walls. Your slab itself can actually move away from the foundation, thus creating entry points. So basically allowing more radon gas into the home. So they recommend that you do test it every 2 years. And then basically with your fan, wherever your manometer is located, whether it's in the basement, your garage is typically where they're going to be, is in the basement.
Mine's in the garage.
Yep. Once a month, just like you do, you change your furnace filter, that type of thing. Just take a look at it once a month, make sure that the levels are offset and that the fan's running.
Got it.
And then we also do what we call an inspection for a radon mitigation system, where we'll come in and we'll just make sure that all the piping and everything is secured, that type of a thing. And then also we'll retest when we do that inspection.
Got it.
So
got it. Okay. So if you are a homeowner right now and you do not have a radon mitigation system, give Jim a call. He owns, well, I'll let you tell him. What do you own, Jim?
So Radon Pros, we're licensed in the state of Nebraska and Iowa, so we do testing and mitigation in both states.
Got it.
And
Jim does he owns home buyers protection as well. So when we have a home inspection done, whether it's on our home, one of our sellers, one of our buyers, we're always gonna fall back on Jim and his team for their specialty in that. So I really appreciate you coming in today and sharing a little bit about radon, why it's important. And if you own a home and you do not have a mitigation system, or you're wondering if you have high levels, give Jim a call, because they'll be able to come in, let you know where you're at, so that you can make your home safer if it does have high levels of radon. Thank you all very much. Have a great day. Yeah, it just takes me back to the Muppets thing. Right. Do you remember that episode?
Oh, I don't know.
Count Dracula.
Yeah.
Right. So there is more.
Sure.
Okay, there is more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People, there's more.